Hey, I want to let you know I developed something new that I think is intuitive and helpful. I'm going to present this at the ICAA pre-conference meeting that I'm presenting at with my colleague, Dr. Robert Winningham. It's the dual task matrix. I'm going to share my screen right now and get right to this. Okay, so there we have it. I'm going to minimize my video. Let's take you right through this. What we have are 4 modes of distraction. You guys know them: cognitive, manual, auditory, and visual. I'm giving you 3 different examples of a mobility task to be combined with them. You could alternatively combine an ADL or even an IADL task with most of these. Let's guide you through. All right, first and foremost, you see that the modes of distraction are down to the left, and the examples of mobility are in the columns to the right. In all of these cases, let me very clearly say we want to personalize the distraction. Let's guide you through. If I did a cognitive distraction, for example, in walking, that could involve the individual telling me a story about something that's personal to them or making up a story. That's a cognitive distraction. If they were compelled to give me directions to drive from here to their home or to a store that we both know, that would also be a cognitive distraction. Any of these could be combined into the other types of mobility. I'm just giving you examples for standing balance. You want to put the individual in a challenging standing balance position. Could be compliant surface, could be changing base of support, could be any number of things. But while they're doing that, a separate task, their preference: mathematics, trivia, spelling, personal recall, and that could be pets that they've owned, classmates, addresses, etc. Alternatively, they could be doing sit to stand, and they could list all of the WNBA teams or list as many species of trees. All right, let's move forward. In manual, we could have them walking while pouring from a pitcher to a cup, throwing a Kleenex up and catching it, or even something, now that would be very game-like, and might be not intuitive for some. You could have them pulling something out of a purse, a wallet, shuffling a deck of cards, etc. Now, in an auditory example, you might think these are cognitive, but if they're receiving the auditory information while they're doing the balance, the walking, the sit to stand, now it becomes auditory. It could be the same exact things. You could be telling them a story. You could give them directions. They could be listening to the story of a grandchild or a significant other. In standing balance, again, put them in a challenging standing position, one that they can just barely maintain, and you give them a story. You can compel them to try to pay attention to it by asking them questions at the end of the story. Same is true for an auditory podcast distraction. In visual, they could be walking through the room and memorizing things that they see, reading large print material for standing balance, and then in sit to stand, scan and memorize this list. And you want to make it very personable for them: a grocery list, trivia list, synonym states, something that feels engaging. Now, let's take it to the next level. If you want to grade the difficulty and make it more or less challenging, in the walking speed, we could make it self-selected, faster or slower, multi-directional walking, obstacles or narrow pathway, and even outdoors. Similarly, in standing balance, change the base of support, put the head in motion, eyes open, close, compliant surface, and finally, in sit to stand. Surface height, lower, more difficult, use of hands or not, feet offset, one slightly in front of the other, change of base of support in some other fashion, compliant surface. Now, all of these give us the opportunity to systematically make a task more difficult in terms of its physical constructs. We can change up the modality and be less burdensome on the clinician. And then finally, if we go down to just one more thing right down here in the bottom left hand, you can now also grade the level of difficulty of the distractor. A novel topic, potentially even something that requires more expedient responses or a massive or a larger volume of information to store. All right, so that hopefully gives you something that is very clear, very intuitive, that it was absolutely worth your time. Hey, if you feel like it, I would love to see you down at the ICAA conference in Raleigh, North Carolina. Again, we're at the pre-conference on November 18th, but I should say, regardless of whether you'll be there or not, if you want to direct message me, I can get this matrix out to you. We're sharing so much more on that day, a full 8-hour class on cognitive, psychological, and physical wellness. I'll sign off now and thank you for your time.